Standard 9 Science 2 subject lesson number 8 Useful and harmful microbes. The subtopic that we are going to see is about a scientist who studied Clostridium bacteria, a particular strain. We have seen about Clostridium in the last video. Now in this paragraph they are going to tell you about the research done by a scientist, and why he did this is because it is said that meat gets spoiled due to some bacteria of the bacillus type, means some bacteria which belongs to bacillus genus, they spoil meat. But exact type of which type of bacteria, that is not known. So the scientist Van Armengem, he proved that anaerobic bacteria Clostridium botulinum, this is one species of Clostridium botulinum, which is an anaerobic bacteria. It is responsible for causing food poisoning. This was proved by the scientist. Then Ida Bangston, he did higher education in biochemistry and Chicago University. So Ida, she conducted many research on toxins for gas gangrene and antitoxin useful for treating it. That means this scientist Ida Bangston, she did many experiments and studies to find out the medicine or cure for gas gangrene. So gas gangrenes are actually caused due to some toxins produced by some bacteria. So to cure this, she was able to introduce many antitoxins for treating it. Now when she was doing her research on a disease called as typhus, she came in contact of this disease. She herself got infected by typhus, but she could cure herself, and then she continued with her research, and then finally she was able to really do a very good and useful work, and then she was awarded with the typhus medal in 1947. Now we'll study a few common examples of diseases that spread very easily and how they can be prevented. So first one is AIDS. It is caused by a virus. And how does it spread? Through blood or semen of the infected person and milk of the mother if she is suffering from AIDS. Blood, if usually when blood transfusion is done, when blood donation is done, it is checked for presence of any disease. So usually this is not very common, but sometimes if proper care is not taken, and if somebody, the patient or the donor, if they are suffering from this AIDS disease, it might spread. Semen is the fluid which is secreted from body of human males. How this can be prevented? Obviously you have to avoid these infectious modes, so it can be prevented. So this is to avoid reuse of needles and injections, so that if somebody is already suffered with this disease, it can be transmitted through needles, and then safe contacts. Next example of disease is hepatitis, which is very common in our country. It again spreads through virus. What is the mode of infection? How this virus can be spread? Through contaminated food and water. So how it can be prevented? Avoid contaminated food and water. That means make sure that your food is properly cleaned, cooked, and the water is clean, filtered or boiled. Next disease is influenza. The pathogen again is a virus. How this virus of influenza spreads? Contact with infected person. So personal hygiene has to be maintained, and try to avoid contact with infected person. Next example of disease is bird flu. measles and chickenpox. So both are spread through viruses, and mode of infection is contact with the infected person. How it can be prevented? First, luckily we have vaccination for this, so it is compulsory for everybody to take vaccine so that this disease cannot be harmed. Then uncontaminated water, clean, the water should be pure, it should not be contaminated. Uncontaminated means clean water, and clean food should be consumed.